listen, I'm not going to accuse Jontay Porter of anything. What I will say is this. The circumstantial evidence appears to be overwhelming. But take Jontay Porter out of this. This is now where we have to have a real discussion about gambling. And about player props. And about this specific type of corruption being inevitable. And our sports leagues needing to decide whether or not they're going to care. So I have been on the record about this, that when it comes to pro basketball and pro football, the sports we talk about, the sports we gamble on, that I don't think fixed games are actually a problem or a thing. And that's because I know how gambling works. I know that it is incredibly difficult to get. You see all these fake tickets online. I know that out there is a $80,000 Jontay Porter same game part. That's not a real thing, guys. And if it is honestly, if there was a sports book out there that was accepting an $80,000 same game parlay on an eighth man, I'm not saying they deserve to be robbed, but they are. I don't want to say they're asking for it, but that is ripe for this type of incident. The reason that I don't think you have to worry about players fixing pro basketball or pro football games is because the money doesn't make sense. It is almost impossible to get down more than 50 grand on a random NBA game. There is basically no NBA player that is involved enough to have a definite impact on the result of a game that $50,000 moves the needle for him. In the NFL, you can get down, a few $100,000 on an individual game, but unless you get to the quarterback, it is very difficult to guarantee you're going to have the impact on a game as a player, and there are no quarterbacks that it would make sense to throw a game for a few $100,000 in a one-off incident. And if you did it multiple times, it certainly makes no sense because now your career is over. And even if you don't get caught, just because you must be terrible because you keep losing us games. So my concern with game fixing and gambling was always about college sports because the money matters a lot to the kids. And because kids' brains are not fully developed, kids do dumb things, and there's been corruption and game fixing in college sports for as long as college sports have existed. And the refs. Because every ref can have a massive impact on any game, and those amounts of money all of a sudden do matter. So that's where the concern is for the fixing portion of it. But then there's this whole subgenre of gambling that has become ubiquitous since gambling became legal. And that's the individual player props. That's the same game parlays. That is you can bet on any player doing anything. And that's where, of course, the money could work out for some of these guys. Of course. If a guy's like, hold on, I don't even have to impact if my team wins or loses. I just need to make sure that I don't hit a three, that I don't get 4 assists, and all of a sudden I can theoretically make, 10, 20, 30 grand. Obviously, someone's going to fall into that trap. Somebody. And so now is where the tougher, more awkward conversations begin, which is, do our sports leagues care enough about that to tell their official gambling partners, which seem to be this endless faucet of money for podcasts, television, sports leagues, all of it. Hey, people want to bet a spread? Okay. You're going to have every single player on the team a player prop listed with high limits on it of the bets you'll accept? Then we're not partnering with you. That's a real question. So there's a lot of pieces of this where that is all intertwined. And again, I'm just here trying to be honest with the audience. It is also a spot, and Bomani has talked a lot about this. Haralabos Vulgaris has talked a lot about this. It has become a more and more, even prior to this, real thing, which is how compromised a lot of us opinion makers are, because all of us are either making money off the gambling sponsors, used to, will in the future, whatever it is. And so the question is, do you want to be forthright and honest with your audience, or do you want to make sure that, you know what I mean, the money faucet turns on? It's a tough one, right? And so we talk a ton of gambling on this show. We have, during football season, a specific gambling show. I personally am incredibly proud of how we do it. First of all, I've been gambling my whole life. It is something I enjoy. It is something that I know a lot about. But also, on this show, what do? We pick games. We do, at the end of each gambling episode, we do one like silly long, you know what I mean? We'll do DeMonte's teaser, which is a straightforward bet, and we do the offer, which is, I think the way we position it as, hey, look at this as a likely losing wager, but that you can have fun on. And I'm not telling people not to do it. But the distinction between that and having the vast majority of your gambling content be, here is this no-brainer same game parlay about player props, feels a little different. The reason we do it the way we do it on this show, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, it's just how I've always done it, is we are picking 5 games a week. We are incorporating the VIG into our plus minus, and we are keeping a ledger. And we are letting you know throughout the year and at the end of the year were we plus or minus. And that way, the audience knows where we're at, what we're doing. And if you remember last year, I forget which team it was, but it was the Jags. My one belief in the Jags swung my entire year from being plus a few thousand to where it ended up being minus a few thousand because of the way those bets worked and how many. And so that, I'm not acting as if there is a right or a wrong way to do it, but there is an honest way to do it. And for the sports leagues, if you are going to be in bed fully with gambling companies that are offering more different ways to bet on individual performance than any time ever before, if you do all of that, the Jontay Porter story or something similar is inevitable. And it will not stop. It will not go away, and it will not stop. And if they're okay with that, they're okay with that. But let's not act like we couldn't see this coming. Now, I don't see the story of NBA star, big name X, throws a game. I don't think that's coming because I don't think the financial incentives are there. But I guarantee you it has already happened in college sports multiple times. And folks just haven't caught it yet. And the ref stuff would concern me because there are real financial incentives there. Hey, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to get more from the show, and make sure to click the bell to get notified every time new content drops. Check out full episodes of What's Right wherever you get your podcasts, or just click the link in the description below.